My name's Doug Purdy. I work on developer products here at Facebook. So these are the SDKs, the APIs, the developer tools, et cetera, that many of you may already be using. And we hope when you leave this event that you'll start to integrate those inside of your applications. Now, what I want to do just to begin the day is set a little context and talk about how Facebook plugs in and can help your applications. So one of the things many of you are aware of is the enormous growth of applications that we're seeing inside of the Apple App Store as well as Google Play. This chart that you see up on the screen is something we pulled from Wikipedia. Apple just recently said that they have over 700,000 applications that are available inside of the App Store. This is something many of you know that have iOS apps. You know that you are one application in a sea of 700,000 apps that are out there. We're seeing the same phenomenon happening inside of the Android ecosystem as well. 700,000 applications on Android. Your app or several of your apps is one of those applications inside of that sea of 700,000 apps inside of Google Play. Not only are we seeing a huge amount of content being created, but we're seeing the total number of devices. If you look at the total number of activations for Android, the total number of iOS devices sold, we're looking at hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of devices that can run your applications. And so what we're observing is we're seeing an increase, an exponential increase actually, in the total number of content as well as applications that are available inside of these various stores. We're seeing an ever-growing audience, an ever-growing number of users that can take advantage of that content and those applications. And one of the key things and the key problem, and one of the reasons that all of us are working on Facebook platform, is to solve this problem of getting attention. Getting your application noticed in that sea of almost 1 million applications floating around in either the Apple App Store or inside of Google Play. Now, it turns out I'm a pretty old man, so I know for a fact that you start to see, over your career, you see problems, and you see those problems occur again and again and again. And so this problem is one that we've seen before. In fact, does anybody know what this number represents? Don't look at the bottom right-hand side. Anyone know? Any know what this is? This is the total number of domains registered, web domains, registered in the United States alone, right now. Roughly 80 million domains are registered. And it turns out this problem of being noticed inside of all these different stores is a problem that we've seen before. We saw it in the early 90s, or rather the mid-90s. And this is heralded by this total number. It sort of gives you an idea of the scale. Let's imagine there was 80 million applications inside of the App Store. What would you do there? It turns out that the way that we solved this problem as an industry was that we started to build directories. We started to build things like Yahoo. We started to build things like Google. Can you imagine the world of the World Wide Web without search and without directories? I don't even know how it would function. I can imagine, I'm fairly creative, but it would be very, very difficult. So without Google, without Yahoo, without these directories, it would be very difficult to discover the things that I really care about. Now, what was really interesting about the web was that Google showed up and Yahoo showed up, and that really allowed me, when I wanted to find something, I could go to those places, those destination sites, and discover content that I was interested in. But when Facebook came out, what we started to see was something really interesting. Two new things emerged. The first thing that emerged was it changed from a pull-based model of where I would go to a portal, I would type in something, and I would get my results back, and I would pull that information, to a push-based model of where I would go to Facebook and interesting information would just start showing up inside of my feed. It moved to this push-based model, which is just a phenomenal way. For those of you that write software for a living, you know that push is just a really great way of thinking about surfacing information to users. And it really creates a really interesting user dynamic that you like. But most importantly, not only did it transform from pull to push, but it was your friends telling you about it. It wasn't some random algorithm that was just saying, hey, we think you might like this. It was your friends telling you this is something interesting on the internet. And that's what Facebook really represents. It represents word-of-mouth discovery at scale. And from people that you care about in your life, your family, your friends. And if you think about it, this is something that happens all the time. When you want to go buy a new car, who do you ask? You ask your friends. You ask your family. When you want to go find out if a movie was any good, was Skyfall any good or not? You asked all your friends. When you wanted to decide whether or not you would go see a concert or you wanted to buy a new album, you went and asked your friends, you went and asked your family. Word of mouth discovery is something that we're all very familiar with. And what Facebook does is that brings that power of word of mouth discovery and it automates it. And this really helped the web in a fundamental way. And it helped it so much that after we launched our Connect product, Facebook became very quickly the #1 source of driving traffic on the web. So this is something where we move from pull to push, and we move to word of mouth discovery, driving a tremendous amount of traffic to web applications and to websites. And what we call this is we call this the Facebook growth engine. And so you have Facebook that is allowing this push and this social mechanism to drive lots and lots of traffic to these websites and these web apps. And so what we want to do, and why we're all here today, is we want to take this same problem set that we've seen before, a huge sea of content, huge sea of applications. You want to get noticed inside of that, and we want to apply the same sets of solutions because we think they actually apply. We think the app stores are very similar to the kinds of search mechanisms that used to exist for the web, and we think Facebook can serve the same role that it served previously for the web for iOS and for Android applications. And in fact, we've been spending the last several months building up the right products, building the right expertise, and working with lots of different partners to bring this growth engine to iOS as well as to Android. And that, if you take anything away from this, is that Facebook is a way for you to grow your applications and deeply engage with your users via this growth engine. So if you build a really awesome website, plug Facebook in, you will grow. If you build an awesome iOS app, plug Facebook in, you will grow. If you build an awesome Android app, plug Facebook in, you will grow. So let's talk about the different channels that are available for you in order to grow those applications. And we're going to spend all of today drilling down into each and every one of these things and showing you not only how you do it, but also the best practices to take advantage of these channels. So we have things like the App Center. And what the App Center is a social place where you can list your application. Your friends can rate, or users' friends can rate, and there's lots of social context that gets created for you, and you don't really have to do much at all. We just provide the social word-of-mouth marketing, word-of-mouth discovery built into a product that you can simply leverage and take advantage of. We have our notifications channel that you can leverage. In fact, you can use push notifications. You can use our push notification system to get your app noticed without having your app installed. And we'll talk about how you can leverage that. We have our news feed. Many of you know about the news feed. Many of you are already leveraging that in order to get your content and your application out to folks. We'll show you how to utilize that. We're going to talk about timeline and how your application can become part of the core identity of who a person is. This is where an application goes from what someone uses to part of who they are. And that's what we really aspire to make timeline be, and what we really think about Facebook can become the limit. And last but certainly not least, we have lots of stable navigation mechanisms and way for your app to get discovered and get re-engagement via bookmarks that are available on Facebook.com. They're also available inside of our native applications as well as on the mobile web. So we have lots of different channels that you can leverage in order to grow those applications, and we're going to show you how to do those things. Most recently, we just announced a brand new product that will enable you to replicate a lot of the same success that we've seen people have on the web, which is where you can actually purchase ads in order to kickstart and enhance your organic growth that you get from those other channels that I just talked about. What we call this product is the mobile install ad product. And what you can see here on the screen is an example on Android of where one of our developers has utilized this as a mechanism to show up directly inside of the feed. And then when you click on that newsfeed item, you get driven to the Android store where the user can actually install the app. And then Google makes some money, we make some money, you as a developer make some money. It's a win-win-win-win for everybody that's involved. And we're very excited about this product. So in order to make this very concrete, I want to talk through a scenario where we can talk about how this sort of all plays together. So the example that I'm going to use is SongPop. SongPop is one of my favorite applications. How many of you have used SongPop? Anyone? Couple of you. Let me explain what SongPop is really quickly. Again, I'm old. And what SongPop is Name That Tune. For those of you that were around in the 70s, you may remember this. This is where you play a song and two contestants will guess what the name of the song is in the fewest notes or the shortest amount of time. And that's what SongPop is. It is social, name that tune. And one of the most interesting things that they did was they launched this application on the web, on Facebook.com, as well as on Android, as well as on iOS. And your gameplay can be synchronized between all three of those different devices. And the way that they do that is they use Facebook as a layer that sits above the different runtimes for their application that allows communication and gameplay across all those different platforms. And we think this is a very interesting pattern that we're seeing emerging from a number of different applications that allow you, regardless of the device that you're on, to get your application. And we think this is pretty interesting. So let's talk about how this works in practice. So my good friend David Swain, who's over here, David works on our PR team here at Facebook. And it turns out Facebook is not in the news very much. So David's got a lot of time on his hands. He kind of sits at his desk. And he decided one day that he was going to go to the App Center and he wanted to play a game. One of the best things about working at Facebook is you can play games all day long and it's part of your job. It's just awesome. I don't know how many of you have a job like that, but you should really get one. What you can do, it's beautiful. I love when I walk to somebody's desk, I see them playing a game. I'm like, what are you doing? They're like, I'm working. And I'm like, that's great. So the first thing that happens is Songpop has listed their application inside of this App Center. And as you can see, there's social ratings, et cetera. And David clicks on that. And when he does that, it takes him to what we call the app detail page. And inside of this app detail page, it shows the user what kind of experience that they're expected to get, as well as what information that they were going to be giving this application. So David goes and he clicks on the button and he says, I want to play this game. Now when he does this, it takes him directly, because he's on his desktop, it takes him to, inside of the Facebook.com website, it takes him to a Canvas page. And inside of that Canvas page is the Songpop experience. And this is where David has an opportunity, because it's a social game, to invite his friends. Now when he does that, he is actually going to find my name, and he is going to select me, and he wants to play against me. It turns out that I happen to have a real job, so I am in meetings. I'm in a variety of different places, if you call that sort of a real job. And what I end up happening is I get a notification on whatever device that I'm on, whether or not I'm on my Android phone or I'm on my iOS phone. Our fundamental nature of the way that our system works is we will send notifications out to whatever devices we know you as a user actually have. And so what ends up happening is a push notification goes from David, who's on the web, out to me, who happens to be on a mobile device. And I'll see that both inside of Facebook, and I'll also see this inside of the native notification screen on whatever device I'm on, whether or not that's iOS or on Android. Now, what's really interesting about this is I don't have Songpop installed. I don't have it installed at all. But when I click on that, we notice that it's not installed at all, and we take the user, we take me, to the Apple App Store in order to install this game. And what's phenomenal about this is this shows how we work perfectly with the existing Apple ecosystem as well as the Google ecosystem. So this is not a matter of should I build a Facebook app or should I build an iOS or an Android app. The answer is it doesn't matter. You should build your application across whatever devices and whatever operating systems you'd want, plug Facebook in, and then we can help you grow across whatever those devices are. So I will click on this, and I'll get to play Songpop, and I'll play against David. David's on a laptop. I'm on my iOS device. We're playing a game together. And this extends not only to the web, not only to iOS, but my good friend Mal, who carries around an Android device, I want to invite her to play a game. And when I do that, she happens to be on an Android device. It will send her a notification. She doesn't have the app installed. She'll be taken to the Google Play Store, and she'll have an opportunity to install that game. So what you're seeing is Facebook operating as a growth channel between the web. You can take existing web users that you have and drive them to your iOS and your Android applications. So what you're seeing in practice is this growth engine working for Songpop. They build an awesome web app, they plug in Facebook. They build an awesome iOS app, plug in Facebook. They build an awesome Android app, plug in Facebook, and the growth engine kicks in. The growth engine kicked in to the point of where this game just got released this year. They have 15 million active users. Every single time I ask for an update on this, it grows by a couple million users. So I'm very, very happy, and I believe the Songpop folks are happy with this growth as well. In addition, if you look at the total number of users of that application who actually log into Facebook, it's 65%. So 65% of their users are logging into Facebook and taking advantage of these growth channels that I just talked about. But even better, if you drill into that and you start to ask the question, okay, do Facebook users make me more money? Do they spend more time inside of my application? The answer is yes. In fact, they spend 35% more time inside of the apps, and they spend 35% more money inside of those applications as well. And so SongPop is happy with their growth, we're happy with their growth, and this is a canonical example of how Facebook can help you grow your mobile applications. So the growth engine again, web, plug in Facebook. iOS, plug in Facebook. Android, plug in Facebook. You will grow. So why is this the case? Why are we seeing such a phenomenal amount of growth? And what are some of the statistics that sort of back up this growth engine? Well, everyone knows, or many of you know, that there are over 1 billion users that utilize Facebook on any given month. 1 billion users. It turns out that if you look at the total number of users that come in through our mobile channels, whether or not that's mobile web, or iOS, or Android, or one of the other smartphone experiences that we have, that's over 600 million monthly users. 600 million. Phenomenal number. 600 million people that you can get access to. It turns out that if you look at the total number of clicks that we are driving to the Apple App Store as well as Google Play, again, everything that we're building is not in competition with iOS or with Google, but rather is additive on top. We drove over 180 million clicks from Facebook website or from the application directly to Google Play, directly to the Apple App Store. And these are 180 clicks that you can have installing your application in any given month. And then if you look and you see how many applications that are in sort of the top of the charts are leveraging Facebook, we've done some surveys where we've looked at the top 400 applications. And it turns out 40% of them are actually already utilizing Facebook in some capacity. Even better, anytime that we look at the top 10 grossing applications, this number varies every once in a while, but the vast majority, and right now, the last time we looked, it was 8. 8 out of the top 10 top grossing iOS applications utilize Facebook. They utilize that growth engine in order to get access to that 600 million users that are available on any given mobile device. So how do you plug into this? And that's why you're here today. 3 very simple things. 1, you need to build your application with our SDK and plug Facebook login in. We're going to show you how to do that. All you need to do is add our SDK, add Facebook login. That's the entryway into the growth engine. The next thing is you need to learn how to distribute your application and your content via all the different social channels that I talked about a few moments ago, via notifications, via newsfeed, via timeline, etc. We're going to show you how to do that. And then lastly, promoting your application, putting it inside of the App Store, building a Facebook page for your application, leveraging our ads product in order to kickstart the organic growth. We're going to show you how to do those things today. And that's all we want to do. Today is all about you, and it's all about showing you the best practices and techniques to do these 3 things and to plug into that growth engine. Now, we're really excited about this. We really want to help you guys be successful because it turns out by helping you, we help ourselves. And now you may think that we're driven by a whole bunch of different motivations, and we are, but one of the most important things that drives us, and the reason I'm here and the reason many of us are here in the room, is a very, very simple thing. What we are trying to do is very simple. We want to connect people together. That is the mission of Facebook. And so when I see a phone like this, when I see that it is in everybody's pocket, when I see basically a supercomputer that has GPS, it has a phone, it has all these phenomenal capabilities, and I see a social network like Facebook where you have over 1 billion users taking advantage of it, and you bring those 2 things together, it's just amazing to think about the possibilities that are there. But the most interesting thing about it is we can't connect all the people in the world. Google can't connect all the people in the world. Apple can't connect all the people in the world with all the things that they do. We just can't do it. It turns out we're not going to build SongPop. We're not. Many of you in this room can build SongPop. I'm sitting waiting for the shuttle and I want to play a game against David Swain. I can do that via my mobile phone and via Facebook. And David and I can share a moment together that will enrich our friendship over time. When I decide that I want to go on a run, I want to go run the Facebook half marathon, which we recently did, I can use Runkeeper. I can use Nike, for example, to actually track that run while I'm running with my phone and share that moment with all of my friends. I can go, and when I see an awesome dish, when I'm at my favorite sushi restaurant, every single one of you has the ability to go build an application that can take this phone and take Facebook and share that moment with the people that I care about. You can actually build applications that will allow me to share all the awesome music that I love to listen to. Think about this. This is this word-of-mouth discovery. You have the ability to help people tell the story about awesome bands that they discover, about great runs that they go on. You have the ability to share photos with awesome filters, and this is a picture of my daughter. And I love this, that I can just take this photo, and all my friends and my family see this. And it came about because people like you built applications, leveraging this mobile phone and leveraging Facebook. I go to Pinterest, and on my Pinterest page, I share with everybody what I want to be when I grow up. And I'm an old man, but I'm hoping I can still be Cary Grant one day. Like one day, maybe I'll grow some hair and I can fit into a tuxedo. But I show all this via Pinterest, and I share that with my friends. And you can build apps that do exactly this. You can build apps that allow me, when Ian M. Banks, my favorite author in the entire world, I can build an app, and each and every one of you can build an app that allows me to take that moment and share that with my friends when I see an awesome quote or I see some book that I just have to tell people about because it's such an important part of who I am. And that's why we're here. We want to connect people, and we need your help. And this starts today, and it starts with you. So let's get started. Thank you.